Voices. So today we're here to discuss LinkedIn best practices for independent agents. Y'all have been listening to me talk for a few minutes. I think most of you know me by now. I'm Stephanie Altman. I'm the VP of Marketing here at Agency Revolution, and I'm looking forward to the warm weather of baseball season. Michelle?
Yeah, hi, I am Michelle Longo. I am the marketing manager at Agency Revolution, and because it's been chilly in Southern California, and I'm not having it.
Sure. So welcome all. We're gonna get started, and I want to start by saying today we're really going to be talking about your personal profiles. We will have a session probably early Q2. Michelle is our content marketer, so I'm gonna look at her. She's not okay.
Yep.
Early Q2 about your business profiles. But today we're thinking about you, your personal brand, your personal profile. So let's start with the do's, right? This is where you can get started. Um, Photos. Have them. That's really the basics. You really want to make sure, as we're thinking about the top of your profile, it's the first thing people are seeing when they click through. If they're on mobile and they're looking at a list of people, this is what they're going to see. Make sure that you show off your best face, your best background. You really want to let people see you. So, with that, you want to have a clear, professional photo, and please, recent. And recent doesn't mean like yesterday. This is not my current photo. It's a little bit old, but still looks like me. My hair is a little shorter, but that's about it. You want it to still look like you. Some of you have kind of know I used to come from commercial banking, and there would be bankers there who I swear they did not have that much hair in 30 years, and they were still using it as their LinkedIn photo. Don't do that. If I change my hair color, if it is to change dramatically, probably should update my photo there. The other thing is your banner image. Now, there's a number of different directions you can go with this, and Michelle, I'd be curious to hear your philosophy. Mine is show off a little bit of who you are. That can be your company. I'm also a runner. This is a bridge in downtown Columbus that I love to run to and use as my turnaround point. But it still shows a little bit also about me, like to bridge people, bridge marketing to the customer. It's a little conceptual, but it also is a little bit about me. Uh, Again, corporate images. Many of our Agency Revolution colleagues use the Agency Revolution kind of official backdrop. Do whatever it is that's right for you. And remember, your personal page is your personal brand. You do not have to put something that is reflective of your employer, of your agency, or anything like that, unless that fits your brand. Michelle, what do you think about those background images?
I would agree with that. I think having something means that, well, first of all, I think that's required, as you said.
Yeah, no
Um,
blue bubbles.
yeah, no, not at all. Um, or just a plain black background or something like that. I would change it to something that, you know, has an image within it. Um, Agree that it needs to be your personal brand. But also remember that LinkedIn is professional. It's supposed to be your professional brand. So um, you don't want it to look like your Facebook cover photo.
Right.
It should be something that like scenery is fine, your company logo is fine, any of that is fine, but like maybe if you partied on the weekend and took a big picture of you and your friends, that's probably not the best one for your LinkedIn. That's my
Yep.
opinion.
I would 100% agree. I will be candid with folks. My Facebook background photo is a picture of a neon I saw in a brewery once that says, "Wish you were beer." That's not going here. So yeah, again, you're putting your best foot forward. And that also goes for your personal picture. We love your dogs. We love your kids. We love your bowling team, your D&D group. We love those. That they're not necessarily coming to work with you every day, right? So think about that as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Next up, the about you. This is when we can take a couple of different tactics. I think there's kind of three major ones that I'm going to use myself, and then Jason and Dave, our colleagues who are also leaders here. Mine is philosophical. This is who I view myself as a professional, the marketing strategy leader. I mentor a number of early career professional women. Um, you hear me speaking now, right? And I also view myself as an advocate for women in the insurance industry. Jason is more strategic in how he talks about who he is. He brings people together. He's a connector. And Dave has, this is who he is. That's his job title. These are all correct. They're all right. Again, it goes back to this is your brand. I should say, I know it looks like I cut off there and they just have a black background. They don't, it's branded. That's just a cutoff. But it all goes back to who are you? Who is your brand? And what is it that you want to say about yourself? And you can even change it up every 6 months. And, if today you're feeling philosophical and 6 months you're like, oh no, this is really what I do. And it's more strategic. These are not set in stone. You can change them. Michelle, what do you think? What does yours say?
Um, I can't remember exactly. I should probably go check that, but I know that mine mentions that I'm an insurance professional, that I'm a marketing professional, but also that I am a second degree black belt and a
Mm-hmm.
triathlete and a half marathoner. And the reason those are very important to me, you might think, well, that's her extracurriculars. They have nothing to do with business. And I would disagree with that because for me, those activities require a lot of tenacity, a lot of hard work and dedication, and that's something that I want to come through. And I can say I'm an insurance professional, but you don't know if I'm a hard worker. Um, and to me, those are things that I like to do, and it's what I like people to know about me. And they're just a couple little words in there.
Yeah.
The rest of my profile doesn't, go on and on about that, but I like to put that up top. That's me, and I think you can have a little fun in that section as well if that's who you are.
Yeah, I love that approach. And going back to it's your personal brand, and I can speak from experience working with Michelle. Like the fact that she is an athlete is part of her personal brand. But I will say that I just want to call out that we have on the slide here, so you don't forget. Just keep it relevant, right? And to Michelle's point, you can talk about yourself in a way that is actually relevant because it indicates something about how you work. It's some people like to have a little fun with it, like, third degree grill master or something. And I think if that's your personality, that comes through in the rest of your profile, that's great. But I say don't be cutesy for cutesy's sake.
Yeah, we actually do have two questions that came
Yeah.
in about this. So the first, and I think we can tackle them kind of both together. So the first one is in that tagline, what about putting something regarding religion or politics? And the second question is, should you put being an agent owner first and other jobs second? So it's about the ordering and then also like those um, very personal uh, things. What do you think about those, Stephanie?
So for the ordering, I think what's most important to you? Put things in the order of importance to you. If being the agent owner is the thing that that's your number one from your professional side, put that first. If you have other roles that you think really take precedence in your mind or in your day-to-day, then put those first. For things like religion and politics, I tend to be one who errs on the side of caution. If that is something that is a very big part of your life, if you are a senior leader at your house of worship, if you're doing something, if you're an election judge or something near you that you're doing all the time, that can be something that you can put in there. Use your best judgment. And I know that's a fuzzy answer, but if it's giving you I don't know, ask yourself why it's giving you that little bit of the I don't know. I think for politics, if it is a nonpartisan activity, for example, election judge, and I say that because a member of my household volunteers doing that every year. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's when you start getting into the partisan stuff, just trust your gut. You know what's right for you. That said, I do believe that people who, we all know, regardless of our religious affiliations, that being involved in a place of worship can be a large time commitment and is a large commitment to the community. And that can be something that is worth mentioning somewhere on your profile. It's really up to you if you want to put it in your kind of job roles. Hope that answered
Yeah.
the question. Please ask follow-ups. Michelle, do you have differing opinions?
Not at all. That's exactly what I would have said as well.
Perfect.
We do have another question though, and it's about
Yeah.
profile pictures.
Okay.
So somebody's asking thoughts on AI, on an AI photo for your profile picture.
If any of you want to go over to my LinkedIn, I invite you to. It's at Stephanie Altman, Stephanie with an F. My current photo is AI.
And if I'm not mistaken, Jason's here is also AI.
Jason's here is AI. I tell you, my hair will never look as good as it does when AI does it, except when I am walking out of the salon. So save yourself the blowout money. Jason and I used Studio Shot for our photos. Monica Barakat, another leader here, also used Studio Shot for hers. You know, some free advertising for them. They're pretty inexpensive and they do a really nice job. Just, you know, but if it doesn't look like you, because I got a few back where they definitely like put me through the Taylor Swift filter, don't use the ones that don't look like you.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where you're gonna get like me. Keep your experience up to date. You don't have to say a lot, but if you've had 3 roles since the last role that you have listed, it's time to go. Give yourself 20 minutes and update those roles. You don't have to say a ton about what you're doing. You don't have to go into great detail. This should not be a stressful exercise. Say a little something about what you're up to. And use action words. You can see I've highlighted a few here. You're owning things end to end. You've got responsibility. You're innovating. And you're all doing that every day. You know, when you're providing, you're servicing, you are actioning. These are the kind of words to use. If you have specific accomplishments, if you have awards you've won, include those. But I'd say a few sentences, a couple of bullets if you want to expand, and then get on to the next one. The biggest thing is just make sure your current role is in there. What do you think, Michelle?
Totally agree with that. I would say too, if you've hopped around a lot or you've been, working in industry, I've been in insurance for nearly 30 years. My claims experience processing FSA claims when I was 19, not really relevant so much anymore to what I'm doing. So I still have that agency on my experience, but I don't have every detail of what I did in that role, that I was at for 8 years, where I moved from claims to everything under the sun, I think. So as you get further removed from them, I would say pare down the description.
Mm-hmm.
And things like when you're first getting into the workforce, maybe you've got some jobs maybe you had some internships or you had some jobs that you kind of need to show that you've got experience, that you are coachable, that you've learned things like that. It's important, but the further removed you are, you don't need to keep showing those anymore because people will understand if you've got 10 years of work experience. They don't need to see your internships from college anymore.
Yep.
So I would just say kind of pare things down, shred them, let them go over time as you see fit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'd say just remember this is not your full resume. It's not your full CV. It is your kind of digital professional footprint. It's again, I keep saying it, it's kind of your personal brand stake in the ground. So you can be high level. People will get a sense of who you are. They will get interested in you, and then they might send you a message or an email if they are interested in learning more. But it's you want to you want to show who you are and what you know without someone having to scroll through and be like, oh my god, you know, we've all seen that profile, and I'd say you can learn from what you don't want as well as the best practices.
Indeed.
So kind of going from there, complete all your sections. Pretty easy, right? Have something for everything. Again, it doesn't have to be very robust. It doesn't have to be a ton of content, but public profile, you can make sure that you can go in and adjust that so that way it is your name. It is something easy to find. I believe Michelle, yours slash Michelle Longo one, right?
Yes.
Yep. Easy to find Michelle. Add your skills. I as you move on in your career, if you've been in the workforce for 10 years or more, please max out your skills. If you're an earlier career professional, you may feel like you don't have that yet. That's fine. But otherwise, really kind of get in there and be specific. You never know what someone might be searching on. Throw some interest in there. LeVar Burton's great content. And you know what? Someone else my age would be like, oh yeah, I like reading Rainbow too, right? It's can be a way to connect, but it can also show a little bit more of your personality and more of your intellectual curiosity, as well as your focus on your industry. If you can go into mine, there's other people in insurance, in financial services, in marketing leadership that you'll see there, kind of those thought leaders. So it does help to show people more about the fact that you're thinking, you're a leader, you're not resting on your laurels, and you have interests, right? We're humans. And the things that you do where, outside of work. And this is a great place if you do have external certifications, as well as all of your industry certifications. Be sure to list those too. But don't forget about the things that you do that aren't just work. And I know that we're all working so much of the time, and especially, our agent friends who you guys really are working all the time. So have those in there, but think about the other stuff too. Shelman, what do you have in yours? What else would you recommend?
I pulled it up while we were talking since I forgot to check it yesterday and see what I've got on here.
Oh,
Um,
and I
and
know I'm going to get dinged because I don't think I have a good description of what I do for Agency Revolution on mine. So,
I definitely do not. And I will say I've broken some of your rules that I've seen in here. So I have homework to do when we when we get off of this call. I need to update mine. But I actually don't really have a lot of interests in mine.
mhm.
And yeah, I'm gonna update that. But then again, I did compensate by putting it in that tagline
Yeah.
area. And one thing I did notice, we had a hand raised, and if you want to throw your question in the Q&A, that would be an easier way to get the question or whatever you wanted to share from you. Sorry that that feature is on, and I didn't realize that. I'm not having a great day. Sorry, guys.
I feel like the first week back after New Year's, the first full week, every day is a Monday.
Yep. Yep.
And I feel like this came up last time. These are live, so keeps it a little more fun. All right, a couple of don'ts. Right, we can't just all share the good news. Be mindful of who your connections are. When someone goes to look at your page, you don't want it to show up with like just a whole bunch of people who have nothing to do with insurance or nothing to do with your prior roles. Everyone that's here, these are all former colleagues of mine from various points of my career. Um, the goal is to have that kind of 500 plus. That's where LinkedIn just kind of starts saying, yeah, more than 500. And they should be people you know. They can be people that maybe you just met twice at a conference. That's fine if they're in the industry. You never know who's looking at your feed. You never know what might pop up. And that can actually be a nice way to broaden your network and see, if when they see what you're doing and vice versa. That's okay. But if you've just got like a rando from that one sales call that you took 4 years ago and never thought about again because you didn't buy the product, you can remove that person and they're not even going to notice. So a little bit of curation, I'd say, once a year, maybe every, 6 months or so, if you find yourself with an extra 15 minutes and you want to be productive, but don't want to do a ton, do a scan. If you're just like, I have no idea who that is, and I don't know what that company is, go ahead and remove them.
Yeah,
When,
I get a lot of, oh, sorry. I get a lot of those too. Somebody reaching out, or I think, oh, that could be somebody who's going to be a great connection, or you know, I don't mind meeting somebody through LinkedIn and then building that conversation from there. But sometimes it just turns out to be they wanted to sell me something, and in which case, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not gonna keep that connection for any longer than, it takes to say, "I'm not interested, thank you."
Yep.
Um, and, also be on the lookout for ones that are clearly spam or bots. I don't know what we call them these days, but, sometimes you just get connection requests and they're not real people. Um,
Hmm.
so look out for stuff that just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense or look super unprofessional too.
Yep. And, click through to their page. And if they're, if really truly appears to be kind of fly by night, they don't have a lot of connections. If it looks like they're just following a ton of people, but they don't have that connection, then y- feel free to just decline. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Everyone you're dealing with is a professional, ostensibly, unless you get one of those spam accounts.
Agreed.
Keep your profile clean. I know it feels like we're talking out of both sides of our mouths saying fill in everything, but also keep it tidy. That's where kind of that brevity, you don't have to say too much. You just want to make sure that you're kind of keeping it updated but not overloaded. Michelle mentioned earlier, shorten the stuff from earlier in your career. This is literally all I have for that job that I had at this point 12 years ago, right? That's it. One line. Because I've done a lot of cool stuff since then that is more relevant to what I do today. We're gonna skip recommendations and come back to that. And then, if there's anything that you think might be inflammatory, and I think this is an escalation of our first question. If someone posts something on your profile or tags you in something that you feel might be really inflammatory, it's okay to remove it. It is okay to untag yourself. Just remembering this is a professional network. And what I would say is if it's something that you wouldn't feel comfortable saying, to someone over coffee in the office or sitting in your office, then don't put it on there. That's really kind of your good rule of thumb. If and that's not only for yourself, but also for again things people might tag you in. The world is rapidly changing. I do believe that it is worthwhile to go through once a quarter and just check yourself. Something that may have had no significance on news events 6 months ago might kind of bubble up in a way that you never intended today. So it is worthwhile to give yourself a little bit of that time just to save yourself that headache. Truly, I want to get to recommendations. There are a few different schools of thought on this. Mine is recommendations are tricky. There are a lot of people who look at them as influence trading, where I'll write you a recommendation if you write me a recommendation, right? And maybe you don't know the person that well. Maybe it's someone who you worked with a long time ago who, is like, hey, didn't we have the best time on that project? Can you write something up for me? Um, and I think, and there are many of us, and I'll say I'm certainly one of them who knows how much that occurs. And I tend to look at recommendations with a little bit of the raised eyebrow. My take is be extremely mindful about them. Try to focus on current colleagues if you are listing recommendations, or just don't. But again, that is one school of thought. And there are others where they would say, no, it's a great way to share what people actually think about working with you. Um, as a natural skeptic, I was thinking no one's going to say anything bad on your LinkedIn profile. So how much truth are you getting? But that's when I'm always happy to debate. But I generally view it as a proceed with extreme caution or just don't. Michelle, what's your thought on the profile tidiness?
Um, I do still have some on mine that probably can go just because they're old. But my reason for keeping them at the time was they came from folks at a job I had been at for a very long time, and I had
Mhm.
significantly built my career there and my experience there. Um, and but my experience itself didn't look like it was very much because I was newer in the workforce at the time, which just goes to show kind of how old they are. So I felt like they really showcased what I did and my interactions with
Mhm.
these people. But I will say they were higher level people, they were senior people, people who left and started their own agency from the agency we had been at together, um, and kept them up as I was moving through my career from account rep kind of role to something more leadership and more involved. So
Yeah.
that was my reason for keeping them then, and I would say if you are keeping them, ask yourself why. What purpose do these serve? If it's just to boost you up and you don't really need them, um, then you might want to let them go.
Mhm. I think that's fair, and I think you do make a good point that there's a little bit more, say an early career professional probably has more reason to fight back on the don't do a recommendation than someone later in their career.
Yeah. Um, we have two questions.
Sure.
One was if the presentation is going to be sent out after the fact. We're going to send out a recording of this after. Usually I do it within a day or so. So look for that to come out soon. And then the other question goes back to our conversation about fake profiles or people that you don't want to keep on your
Mm.
LinkedIn. How do you
Mhm.
know? How do you know that they're not someone you should keep? And this
Yeah.
person made the point, that they normally decline out of country ones.
Mhm.
So I would say that depending, not that I necessarily think people from out of the country are fake, but I do know that those people often are not. I'm not looking for an international, if I were leaving this job, I would not be looking for an international job. I would not be looking to work in certain areas of the world.
Mhm.
And so for me, those folks aren't people that I need to connect with.
Mhm.
So if I don't know who they are and they're just randomly following me and they're from a part of the world I have no interest in doing business with for whatever reason, I don't usually accept them.
Yeah.
Um, I think sometimes you can tell their profile picture doesn't line up with the work experience. They've got years and years and years of experience listed on there and they look like they're 20. Something might seem off to me there. And again, if I don't know them, I'm going to judge more harshly than someone that I've met, or, obviously, if I've met them, they're not fake, but because that'd be weird.
Well, I think you're onto something there too, and it's look and see if they're connected to any of your connections. Look and see if they're a
Yep.
second or third level connection, even. That is a fantastic and easy first step, to know if someone's in your industry, to know if they're engaging with people that you're engaging with. The other thing to do is, look at their profile, and you can, fit walks and talks like a duck, probably is one, right? Um, you're smart, like, and if you have a question or a concern about it, let it sit for a few days and then go back and see if they've connected with anyone from your industry again. Um, and if you decline an invitation at one point, that doesn't stop someone unless you specifically block them from requesting to connect with you again a month later. So, if you decline someone and then it does turn out that they are, legit and they reach out again, you can accept them at that point. But kind of to summarize, check and see if they're connected to people you're connected with, look at their work history and see if it's legit and just see if things line up.
Yep.
No profile and blue bubble background, that's going to be a no from me, dog.
Absolutely. And we have one more question pertaining to recommendations.
Hmm.
And so Miriam is asking, what if someone asks you to write a recommendation for them? Should you write recommendations for other people?
I I think that's going to be a choice that you kind of have to make based on the person. If you feel like you can truly give them a glowing recommendation, and you are honest in that what you are saying is true. I mean, I've written recommendations for colleagues that have asked me, who maybe have been riffed or something like that, and I've loved working with them, and I can truly speak to their innovative way of thinking and their collaboration. I'm happy to do that. Um, if if you don't, if you cannot commit to that, I would politely decline. Just knowing that those things are clickable back to you. It is your credibility, that you are putting out there when you write a recommendation for someone. So I would kind of treat it as, if someone asked you to write a recommendation letter to your alma mater, you know, you don't want to send someone there who can't hack it. Same thing with this.
Yep. I agree completely with that.
So let's talk about some best practices, for actually posting, right? So we got your profile cleaned up, you are looking great, best foot forward, now ready to get started actually activating some content. Reposting and commenting, this is your easy button. Like, you don't have to come up with new content all the time. You're on there, repost, comment, share that, let other people do the hard work, and you just give your opinion about it. So don't just hit that repost button. You just hit that repost button. I mean, unless it's something that you're sharing from your agency, from your company, from something like that, there you might just want to repost, get it out there, expand reach. But if this is from a colleague, from a thought leader, from a service provider, from a carrier, 2 sentences. This really resonated with me because of X, or this got me thinking about Y, or fascinating take on Z. What do you think? Get your followers engaged, get your folks engaged. Same thing with a comment. Go ahead and just say, you just say, wow, interesting take, or fantastic information. Engage, and it really can be just that simple. This is your easy way to be kind of getting some content out there. If you have some friends who be interested in your comment, tag them. That's an easy way to do that too, and to get your people involved and create that community of like-minded professionals. Hashtags, use hashtag. LinkedIn will suggest hashtags for you. This is another one where you don't really have to overthink it. And this is another place where you can show a little bit of your personality. Sometimes I, get kind of goofy when I see some information, and I'll kind of and I'll tell a really bad joke or two. That's totally fine. And again, don't worry about net new content all the time. You got this. Shaw, what do you think?
Yep. Totally agree. Again, the thing to keep in mind is everything that you're commenting on. I'm going to kind of go the reverse of it a little bit. Everything you're commenting on can tend to show up in other people's timelines.
Mhm.
So I love when some of my colleagues will comment on these articles, or
Yeah.
share some information, because it brings something to me that I wouldn't have seen because I'm not connected to that person.
Yep.
On the flip side, if let's say someone has posted some sort of rant, maybe they're disgruntled or something, and they're having a day, and then you're commenting something that fits along with that, maybe you're commiserating or something like that, remember that your colleagues can see that.
Mhm.
So it's important to make sure that you may love it on a personal level, like, right on, you really got mistreated there, watch what you say, maybe do that in a message.
Yeah.
Would be
I
my
think
my
that.
recommendation, because
Yep.
we've all been there where a friend's gotten a bad deal, like, it happens, right?
Mhm.
So, but I wouldn't publicly comment on that. I would be careful about that sort of thing.
Yep.
And
What I would
additionally,
say with that though is if someone does go on a rant and you have a different take and you position that positively, like, so sorry to hear about this. Sounds like it was a real challenge. Have you thought about this? That's totally appropriate.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, yeah, and so I think just keeping in mind everybody can see what you're doing. Maybe not everybody, but people
Yeah.
see what you do.
Mhm.
Um, And actually, that's a good segue into a question that we just got, which is
Sure.
thoughts on the reaction buttons, like the like and applause and things like that.
I use them
I
all the
personally,
time
I so do
myself.
I.
Yeah.
So do I. I mean, um, sometimes I'm lazy and I don't want to comment, or I don't have a whole lot to say on a certain matter, but it's resonating with me. So
Yep.
I will almost always applaud your new job, your promotion, things like that. Because it does keep you connected to people when you are short on time.
Mhm.
If you can do it, congratulations. And LinkedIn also just kind of fill in some of those suggestions for
Yeah.
you. So you can do those. I think they're better, but I do the likes very often as well too. And I think it's just a good way to stay connected and show people that you're part of that community with them.
And it's also a fun way to do, I'll say, light engagement with kind of the affinity group accounts. Like I follow a whole bunch of marketing accounts and they are posting really goofy stuff all the time about, the challenges of being a marketer and making fun of the sales team and the product team and stuff because that's the joke, right? And I will haha or thumbs up those because it's a professional joke. And the way that I think about commenting or reacting and all that, and it's going to show up in someone else's feed is, would you feel okay saying it, if you were in an office with your colleagues and kind of ribbing the sales team a little bit from a marketer? Yeah, sure, absolutely. And I would expect them to do the exact same to me. So, don't be scared to have fun, to kind of to you know poke at some stuff. And I think those are great places to use the reaction buttons. Um, so as an over user of them, I'm pro. And that does still pop things into other people's feeds. Our other team member, Allie, she's a LinkedIn person who's on there and grabbing content for us a lot of the time. And I love it when she does the reaction buttons because then I get to see the stuff that she's finding insightful.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time to bring things to other people's attention or um share it with other people or, whatever the case may be. But I do think it's a good idea. I like that idea light bulb reaction
You
where you
too.
can be like, hey, that's a good one. Because it also signal boosts for other people when you don't really have a lot to add. Sometimes your colleagues, and their connections, they need that. They need people to see them if they're job hunting, if they're looking for their next thing. So it's an easy way to engage and it's a very low lift when you're not super invested, but you want to do a little something.
Great way to put it. It's good on. Anyone who's heard me talk before, what do I say? The activity level that's right for you is the one that you can maintain. So, to quote Mr. Manning here, you do you. Um, Consistency is really key, and that's consistency for what you are actively doing, whether it's that posting something yourself or really doing that sharing with commentary. If you're just going through and I like that, I like that, I want to save this, you can do that 5 days a week, one week, and none the next week. Just, consistency is key and don't stress about this. That's the other thing. This is your personal brand. Don't feel like you're forced to put stuff out there. We all need a night in sometimes, right? Same thing with posting on LinkedIn. Just remember that like relevancy is really important. You'll pop more if you are consistently posting about similar topics. That's where some of those hashtags come in. And I would say frequency of engagement so is rewarded. Um, we're not all gonna be like influencers, right? And that's fine. You just want to have enough activity that you do show up and then when people go looking for you, they find you.
Yep.
Well, that's it for official content. What other questions do we have from folks before we tell you about what's coming up?
So I don't have any open questions at the moment, but we do still have a few minutes. So if you've got them, oh, that was quick. Um, somebody let's see, we've got amount of connections and activity. I'm not sure what you mean there. If you just are wondering what's the right amount or how many connections you should have. Um, so
Yeah. So
forgive me if we got that wrong.
I'll say for connections, you want to have that 500 plus, but 500 plus of people you have met or you've talked to at some point in, in your career. Don't just be going connecting with people to hit that. The one exception to that rule I'll say is if there are leaders in the industry that you want to, ask a question of, that you may want to ask to support something that you might want to try to have a conversation with one day, go ahead and reach out to them. And them, those folks you can either follow to start, or you can send a full connection request. I like the fact that there are so many senior leaders in the insurance industry who do tend to be pretty open to those connections. I've reached out to, some carrier CMOs that I've either met just in passing or hope to have a chance to have a conversation with one day, and they've generally accepted my connection requests.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience.
And for activity, I guess I kind of go back to the right amount of activity for you is the one that you can maintain and that you don't feel pressured to have to maintain.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Two questions about business accounts. So the
Yeah.
first one was, did we say there would be a webinar for business accounts? And yes, we did say that.
Yes.
We are looking at that for our early Q2 content. So I'm gonna say probably April.
Sounds
Don't hold me
good.
to that.
Well,
It
how's this,
depends with
Michelle?
the May.
We control our own calendar. Let's commit to the folks. We will do that at some point in April.
Okay. All right. Hold me to that. Yes, that's what we're looking at. But in the meantime, we have a question. Any tips on posting for a business page? And do you want to take that, Stephanie?
Sure. Posting on for a business page is keep it tight on your industry. Um, Provide an insight. Provide value. Now, that value can be pointing them to something you are doing. It can be posting a customer testimonial. It can be sending them to an article in which you are quoted. That's all still kind of sharing something of value. The other thing that I say it is also value to show your corporate culture. A picture of the staff in the office, everyone eating donuts, going canoeing for your company outing. That's great too, because again, it shows it's part of the brand of your business. So what we went over today was your personal brand. Your business brand is not just your consistent logo, typeface, and voice usage. It's who you are. So that's kind of I'll say the 30-second preview. Michelle, you've managed business accounts more recently than I have kind of actively. What do you think?
Yeah, I think everything you said is spot on. I would hesitate to do anything that is more commentary on social things or outside of your industry unless you are like maybe there's a charity or an organization
Mm-hmm.
that your company sponsors. I think things like that, like, we feel very strongly about XYZ because ABC. I think you
Yep.
can do stuff like that fairly safely. And I do firmly believe that most of what you post should be adding value, not selling.
Mm-hmm.
People, if you're an agent, people know that what agents do is they sell insurance. You want to show them why they should buy it from you. And
Mm-hmm.
because you say buy it from me won't be the reason that they do
Right.
it. When you share an article, when you explain things that they need to know, that's where you're going to build that relationship and show value. And you can be a thought leader, especially on LinkedIn, as opposed
Mhm.
to other platforms, is show what you know, share articles, give your own commentary on the industry, on practices, on, you know, current events related to insurance and so on.
Yeah.
Um,
Even within your community, if something happened that impacted your community, you can say, as a business who has been embedded here for 15 years, we're so sorry to see this, or we're so excited about this, or this made us think about X kind of impacting our community. So just keep it, trust that it's relevant. If it's something that you would want to see, someone else probably wants to as well.
Yep. And we have another one again on business. Is it typical to cross post across various platforms? And I would say that it typically is, whether or not it's the exact same content, the exact same day and time. You can be a little bit more flexible with that. You can change the tone of it for LinkedIn versus Facebook. I'm okay with that, and typically that is what I do. I know
Yeah,
some folks, if it's like fun content, they'll put it more on Facebook than on LinkedIn. I feel like who you are is who you are. So just
mhm.
be yourself across all your platforms. That's me.
If you have a dedicated resource who has the bandwidth to curate content for each platform, awesome. Um, that's really rare, even in large organizations. So in that case, cross post away. You never know where your clients and prospects are going to be looking on any given day. The algorithms shift stuff up. So even if it hits everything at the same time, someone might see it on LinkedIn today and then be reminded of it on Facebook a week later because that's the way the algorithm went.
Yep, agreed. Those are all great questions and things that we'll definitely expand on when we do that session in April.
Yeah. However, leading up to April, we really do hope that you will join us for a few additional webinars. We've got two next week. Our first one is on the Fuse dashboard. I'm a numbers junkie. I think the dashboard is really, really cool because it puts so much at your fingertips. And then might even help you figure out some content you might want to post on LinkedIn if you see, people are engaging with certain content. So hope you will join us for that. You can register for all of these on the Agency Revolution website. Day for that, we'll be doing demos with Dave. So Dave Morton, who's excellent LinkedIn profile header we saw earlier in this presentation. We'll be kind of doing a 10,000 foot view of, of Agency Revolution's products and kind of kicking us off into the new year with a little refresher demo on what it is we do here, other than talk to you about LinkedIn. And then the following week, we'll be back talking a little bit about how to activate your centers of influence to help grow your business, and kind of who to think about and how to get in touch with them. So we're super excited about that. And then after that, and this is thanks to feedback from all of you, so we appreciate that. We're going to do a little 4-week series about marketing benchmarking. So we will start with kind of 101 and then go into some channel benchmarking. So pumped to share all of these with you. Again, scan here or go ahead and visit us on our website. Love to see you at these. Michelle, before we sign off, anything else you want to share?
The only other thing I wanted to share was the February benchmarking series is not up on our upcoming events page just yet. It is forthcoming soon, but I wanted to give a little teaser and make sure that you remember to go visit that page regularly, because we will be adding more and more, as the weeks go by.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Just keep checking back on that page, and looking forward to seeing all of you more this year. Thank you so much for your engagement today. Have a wonderful afternoon.